This is it, my final video of 2025, talking about movies way too much. This year I saw 161 new 2025 releases, easily a record for most new movies seen in a given year. But what were the movies that made me love movies the most this year? Here are my picks for the 10 best movies of 2025. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comments section. Let me know, what are your picks for the best movies of 2025? I say this all the time, but my list is not the right list. It's just my list, and I would love to see yours, and I really mean it, and I think that is truer than ever when it comes to a best of the year list. This isn't designed to be the objective list of the best movies of the year. It's not meant to explore what I think are the technically most complicated and most wonderfully executed films of the year. Movies are art. They are meant to entertain us. They're meant to stir our emotions. They're meant to explore ideas, help us think about the world from the perspective of other people and see the world the way other people see the world. They're meant to do so many different things, and each of us is an individual with unique tastes, experiences, and a different perspective on how we see the world. So this is a list designed to communicate who I am and what excited me about movies this particular year. And your list should reflect you and your personal preferences and your unique little quirky tastes. That's what they're meant to do. That's what this list is. And let's get started. Coming in at number 10, Novocaine. I love a good action movie that's got a clever twist to it, and I love a good date night movie. And that's exactly what Novocaine was for me this year. I went to go see it with my wife, and if you didn't watch it, basically it's a fairly simple, straightforward action movie about this guy trying to save his brand new girlfriend. But the twist here is that he has a condition where he can't feel pain. And so despite him not being an action hero, it uses his lack of coordination, but also his inability to feel pain as his superpower to beat a bunch of guys up in all of these just wince-inducing, squirm-inducing, like, ugh, type moments. And so it's got creative action to it because it's a person whose look on his face, what he's doing doesn't match what you're seeing, where he's like putting his hand in fry grease while smiling. And so it just has a clever bent to it, like you haven't seen action quite like this before, that is effective but so discoordinated. It's a date movie about a guy that's romantically invested in this girl and desperately trying to save her. So it's got a little bit of romance in there, and it's funny. And so for me, of like action movies this year of a genre that I enjoy, this is the one that made me go, yeah, it's simple, it's straightforward, it's not pretentious, it's just trying to be a good time at the movies, and I got everything that I wanted out of this movie. Most importantly, a great date night with my wife, who also really enjoyed the film. Now, I have a ton of bias on this movie because the Austin screening of it, Jack Quaid himself showed up at it. I got to interview him on the red carpet for the movie. And then the next day I got to do a press junket interview with him. He is the nicest celebrity that I have met, for whatever that is worth. And so, of course, I've got great memories associated with it, a very unique experience that absolutely elevated my time with the movie. But I did a lot of interviews this year. I went to a lot of premieres this year. I had a lot of cool experiences this year. Most of those movies are not on my top 10 because they didn't put as big of a grin on my face as this movie right here. Number 9, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, this movie is a totally different case from Novocaine. I went into Novocaine extremely excited to see it, walked out of the theater being like, oh man, I love that. Maybe it'll be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I didn't really want to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. My wife was like, we got to check this movie out. The kids are interested in it. And I watched it and I was like, oh, that was actually surprisingly good. That was much better than I expected it to be. But if you saw my June ranking, even if you saw my summer movies ranking, you would not have expected it to be in my top 10 movies of the year based on my initial evaluation of the film. This is kind of one of those movies that where the dad hat comes into play here. That this movie defined my household for the last 6 months. that both of my girls, but in particular Karis, basically became obsessed with this movie. So it's a film that I've now seen in part and in whole countless times. As much, likewise, the soundtrack has been in every car ride that we've taken over the last 6 months. Karis dressed up as Rumi for Halloween this year. And so it's a movie that, like, my initial kind of feelings about it were kind of like, oh man, the movie about K-pop demon hunters actually wasn't terrible. And then I kept watching it, and it was like, the more I watched it, the more that I got it. And the more that it became something that was like, this is just like a really cool movie that is able to pull kind of a very different understanding of demons from kind of Asian, Korean culture, as well as bringing K-pop over, animation styles from Asia, and put them in a package that is just entirely universal through the message, through the humor, through the incredibly catchy songs. But then as a parent, you're always looking for those things that your kids get obsessed with that don't drive you crazy. And when they find something that they're obsessed with and you go, this thing is actually good, this is actually something I want them to embrace, all of a sudden your love for it continues to grow. And so as this has become the obsession of the last 6 months, I've been like, I'm totally okay with this. And like, you're picking something that's actually a good example of a movie that's refreshing and creative and does kind of have a lot in it that's a good message about how we should view ourselves and connect to the people around us. So this is a movie that in June, never in a million years would I have thought that it would be in my top 10 at the end of the year. But when I was putting this list together, I was like, yeah, it's got to make it. 2025 is over. And in 2025, I tried to get in much better shape. And a big part of that was simply eating better. Trying to get lots of protein, eating good carbs and fats, and getting plenty of nutrients. But in the morning, I don't have an appetite for a big hearty meal, and I want to get my day started. I don't have time to prep and cook a meal. Enter the perfect solution, Huel Ready to Drink Black Edition. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, slow release carbs, a complete meal in one bottle. That's huge for me because it's a meal's worth of macros and nutrients all in one bottle that is ready to drink. It tastes good with no weird aftertaste or strange texture to it. My personal favorite is the iced coffee and the iced latte. But I got the variety pack, which had vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, banana, and I enjoyed all of them. I would order more of them. They've also added some new flavors like chocolate peanut butter. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very interested to try it. I'm pretty sure that I will really enjoy it. So I recommend checking out that variety pack to figure out what your favorite flavor is. Each bottle is under $5, and when you're getting a meal's worth of macros and it's ready to drink, it's a great way to start your day. Grab Huel today with my exclusive offer of 15% off orders of $50 or more with code Sean Chandler at Huel.com/Sean Chandler. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show. Number 8, The Housemaid. This movie was such a pleasant surprise and a great little bonkers thriller to close out the year. Here in Austin, they did 3 different press screenings for this film. That is exceptionally uncommon in Austin for a movie like this, which normally screams to me they really think this movie's going to play great for its target audience. Finally made it to the last one, and it ended, and my wife just stood up and started clapping and absolutely loved it. Back to that point about date night movies. This was another one of those great date night movies this year, but as for the movie itself, it's just a thriller that right out of the gate builds intrigue about all of the characters, where you're like, what's kind of going on here? And you're trying to figure out which character has the big secret. And when you're going to learn the big secret, the way the movie's designed, like every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, you learn, oh, this character's got the big secret, and you reinterpret everything that you've heard about them up to that point in time. And it just keeps having this series of reveals about every single character that causes you to go back and rethink what you saw in the original interactions. It's the kind of movie that I haven't been able to rewatch it myself, but very much rewards a second viewing as you kind of reinterpret each interaction in light of what you learn later on in the movie. It has like this really bonkers, campy side to it, in particular from Amanda Seyfried. Some people have criticized Sydney Sweeney for being a little bit too kind of like low energy in the movie, but I feel that was almost kind of the point of the movie, is it's a character that because of the situation she's in, she's trying to play it very chill in this bonkers situation that she's in. And then later on in the movie where she starts getting into the real crazy stuff, almost the whole point is that she belongs in crazy environments, and so she's chill when they go down. So, like, I liked the contrast in energy between the two, all of the different cast, really. But so for me, just a great thriller that kept changing the rules, had a nice dark sense of humor to it, was just steamy enough, like all the right things to deliver a solid end-of-the-year date night movie. Coming in at number 7, Marty Supreme. A24 sent me a box of Marty Supreme ping pong balls, therefore it's on my list. Coming in at number 6, The Long Walk. If you told me back in January that a movie about people going for a walk was going to be in my top 10 of the year, I probably would have told you that you were crazy. But here we are. I probably should say a little bit more about Marty Supreme than that. This was probably the most chaotic and exhilarating movie of the year. We got a movie from each of the Safdie brothers this year, and I would have bet money that I was going to prefer The Smashing Machine over Marty Supreme by a lot. Because it's about MMA, stars The Rock, just seemed much more in my vein than a movie about ping pong with Timothy. Boy, was I entirely wrong. This absolutely captures the just frenetic energy of uncut gems, the utter chaos of a lead character that is constantly trying to work everyone around them to achieve their goals, but in this wildly other context. And as much as this guy is just an absolute menace to society, he is so interesting, compelling, and entertaining that in every situation, he's so desperately trying to get ahead with every word that he's saying, but he also never knows when to stop. He's unable to think down the line of the consequences of his actions. And so it's just this absolutely captivating train wreck of a person that also has all of these really great qualities too. There's all of these qualities that are so admirable, and at the same time in a package of a person that is just so self-absorbed and caught in the moment of his own obsessions that you just can't look away from everything that he's doing. As much as it's about ping pong, it's all about where this movie goes. If you say it's a movie about ping pong and this guy chasing his dreams, that does not begin to tell you the world of trouble that this guy creates for himself, where you keep being like, holy cow, I can't believe where this movie is going. And that's what was so refreshing about it. A movie that it's impossible to capture what the experience is of watching this movie without watching it. And so for me, just one of those movies that just absolutely just cut through the noise and stood out. Coming in at number 6, The Long Walk. If you told me back in January that a movie about people going for a walk was going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. And this is a movie that I was a little bit late to seeing it compared to other people. I missed the press screenings, and then I wasn't available to go see it opening night. And so kind of it had a whole weekend of people being like, oh man, this movie's awesome. Cody Leach texted me like, dude, you got to check out The Long Walk. And I was still hesitant. I was like, I'm looking at the trailer. It's people going for a walk. I am not understanding what is going to be captivating about this movie. And then I went to go see it, and just almost immediately you step into this world of just realizing the tension of the experience that you're watching. It is this dystopian future with a Hunger Games-esque flavor to it, though of course the story that it's based off from Stephen King was written 50 years ago, long before Hunger Games was written. But the dystopian type future about the public being entertained by watching young people compete in these games. And in the case of this one, it's just who can walk the longest. And essentially the experience of the movie is that it has the kind of coming of age that you see in Stephen King works like It and Stand By Me. And then it has the friendship that you see in like his Shawshank Redemption, except in this context where as the movie goes along, those friendships, those bonds that are being formed, are going to end. People are going to die. And it just creates such a unique tension, suspense inside of you where you just feel yourself clenching up as you care more and more about the individuals and their connections to one another. But at the end of this, like the Highlander, there can be only one. And it creates a situation where a hill on a road, an untied shoe, rain, anything that changes the status quo is going to kill people. And you're going to feel a sense of loss. And it just reminds you of the horrors of violence. It stirs up emotions. It finds all the right ways to just keep you locked in on this movie that only has a limited set of tools that it can use to hold your attention. And it does it masterfully. Coming in at number 5, Warfare, a war movie unlike any war film that I have ever seen, where it is based on a real event that happened, and more on that in just a second, but it's not trying to pick like the most sensational, interesting battle that took place in the 21st century. The point of it is to just show kind of an average day of warfare, what it's really like, and put you right there in the middle of it. So much so that at the beginning of the movie, it doesn't say based on real life events. It says based on the memories of the soldiers. And with the movie, every single detail in the film had to be based on an actual memory from one of the people that was there. And so if you're talking about what color will the curtains be, how much dust is on a windowsill, everything was based off something that someone recalled. And sometimes the movie will pause to show you a little detail, and you're not quite sure why it's doing that. It's because that's what someone in that room remembered from that day. It's told essentially in real time. So it's about 90 minutes long, real time. And the movie is directed by Alex Garland as well as Ray Mendoza, intentionally, where Alex Garland is the Hollywood filmmaker and Ray Mendoza was one of the people that was there that day. And he's a famous military consultant for Hollywood that worked on Civil War with Alex Garland last year. And Alex Garland just felt like, to tell this story, what we want to do here, I need someone that is directing it that was in the room, that was on the street. And because of the way that it was told, the way that the sound is used, it's meant to just immerse you in a day, in a time. And I loved that about this film, to just treated warfare and let you see it in a way that very few movies allow you to experience it. Number 4, The Naked Gun. I miss comedies. And The Naked Gun put me in a theater with a bunch of other people where we laughed for 90 minutes straight. And I've missed that, and it gave me an experience I did not realize how much I actually needed. It is a movie that had me laughing out loud consistently throughout the runtime. Multiple times in the movie, I missed jokes or punchlines because either I or the person next to me was still laughing at a joke, and another joke happened that was also laugh out loud funny. And it has no pretenses beyond making you laugh, and that is exactly what this movie did. Now, this is one that I was actually always pretty optimistic about it. This kind of goes back for a while now, but there's always been murmurs, will they remake The Naked Gun? And when Liam Neeson started dabbling around with a little bit of stuff with Seth MacFarlane, and he was in the middle of his, action thriller peak of being known for doing these cop thrillers where he's just dead serious, and then he does a couple Seth MacFarlane things. And it started putting it in some people's head of like, wait a minute, that's a match made in heaven. This guy can do deadpan comedy, and he's known for being the cop guy. This could be perfect. And so when they announced that Seth MacFarlane was producing a Naked Gun remake with Liam Neeson, I always had a really good feeling about it. To deliver a movie that is true to the nature of the comedy of the Leslie Nielsen films, but isn't copying Leslie Nielsen comedy. It's their version of what they did so masterfully back in the 80s and 90s. The perfect way to continue it. So it made me laugh. It honored what came before, but it built on top of it. Liam Neeson, I just think, is so funny. Pamela Anderson shows that she can be hilarious. I mean, the whole cast, you could go through everyone in it. The villain in it was like such a pleasant surprise to see him having so much fun as a guy that normally doesn't do these types of roles. It's just a joy-inducing movie in a way that we just don't get enough true laugh-out-loud comedies. We get a lot of blockbusters with jokes and quips, but a true comedy, we don't get enough of them anymore. Real quick, before I give you my top 3, remember to join me down below in the comment section. What are the movies that made you love movies this year? The films that just were amazing theatrical experiences, that delivered something that you've missed from films. Those movies that for you personally just meant something to you. Let me know down below in the comment section. I've done several of these other end of the year videos, biggest disappointments, comic book movies ranked, worst of the year. If you enjoyed this video, there's more that you'll enjoy somewhere around here. In third place, Weapons. This is the latest film from Zach Krieger, who did Barbarian a few years back, and Barbarian made its way into my top 10, and I think that was 2022 when it came out, as just this movie that kind of came out of nowhere. It was just such a bizarre, unexpected movie that you wanted to go into it knowing as little as possible, and if you do that, it's a very rewarding, twisty, turny, bonkers movie. And so naturally, I was like, what is he going to do next? And he got a movie with a bigger budget, more star power. Can he live up to what he did with Barbarian? And I would say absolutely he was able to not just live up to it, but top it just a little bit with Weapons. And Zach Krieger's kind of become one of those directors that I'm just on the lookout for whatever he's going to do next, because he has such an interesting storytelling voice that he crafts these nonlinear stories that just kind of keep rewriting the rules of what you're watching. And you think it's one movie, but then it's something totally different. And knows how to just like reframe things just right, give you information heading you in one direction, and then it pulls the carpet out from underneath you and changes all the rules, changes everything you thought you knew about the film that you were watching. But the thing that in particular that elevates Weapons over Barbarian for me, two movies that I loved, is that this one had a little bit more of like a gut-wrenching heart to it. It's a story about these kids going missing, and so you're seeing how that's broken this city. And some of that is from the perspective of an angry parent in Josh Brolin's character, and the other is from the teacher who lost all of her students, had nothing to do with it, but is the person that everyone blames because they don't know why she's what happened. She's the common factor. And so there's just this gut wrench to it. And at the same time, this really sharp sense of humor that doesn't undercut the tension and the suspense. Adding to that, it just builds up to this bonkers third act that it's like, you just don't know what's coming, and it finds a way to just go wild and pull it off in a way that it's just like, yes, that was amazing. So this, Zach Krieger has become one of those guys that whatever he does next it's in my most anticipated of the year list. Our runner-up, Sinners. Speaking of directors who, whatever movie they put out will be on my most anticipated movie of the year, Ryan Coogler has been on that list for a while, so Sinners was a film that was on my most anticipated movies of 2025, and I'm very happy to say it not only met, but it exceeded my expectations. I went into it thinking that Ryan Coogler was just kind of doing a period piece genre film that was going to be a cool vampire gangster movie. And this movie is entirely that. It has a gangster subplot with vampires showing up, with plenty of carnage, violence, gore, all of that fun stuff. But Sinners is like just so much more than that in a way that you just couldn't have gone into the movie expecting it to do all of the things that it was going to do. In the way that it's a film that is built around the celebration of music. And of course, the primary sequence people discuss about that is the history of music sequence in it. That is something that the movie shouldn't be able to get away with suddenly changing the stylistic nature of the movie, going into this dream-esque, trippy exploration of all of these different music throughout the time and into the future of the time period where the movie's taking place. It shouldn't be able to do that, given the boundaries and parameters established by the rest of the movie. But the movie is executed so good, and it does it so seamlessly, that you're able to be mesmerized by the moment, and it turns into this incredible example of just a top filmmaker being able to find ways to make things work that should not work. And it does all of it effortlessly. It's able to be thrilling, exciting, terrifying, a little bit sexy and romantic, explore music, explore race in one cohesive film that works on every single level. And when you're able to do that, you're making a film at this very high level, like complex, ambitious, entertaining, and excellent. That's when you have one of the best pictures. But coming in at number one, F1. Just a perfect old school blockbuster. It knows the old rules, it knows the old formulas and templates, and it does the perfect version of them, executed at a very high level. It's a classic underdog story, just done to hit all of the right moments, all of the right notes from beginning to end. When I was constructing this list and deciding what should go where and why would I put things where they are, there is one very specific incident that happened within the last 2 weeks that for me kind of solidified this movie was going to have a very high placement on this list. I was actually sick the last couple of weeks, and in the middle of the beginning of my sickness, I'd been locked in my bedroom all day, and I just happened to walk out to try and grab something in the refrigerator. F1 had auto-played on whatever my wife had just finished watching. And walk out like a blanket, not feeling great, but sleeping all day long. And I go, "Oh, you're watching F1?" She goes, "Oh, it's just auto-played." So I just sat down and went, I just want to watch the beginning of the movie. I'm not too tired. I'm not in the mood to watch the whole thing. Maybe we'll watch it in a couple days. I watched the opening scene. I was like, well, I got to watch the next scene. I love the next scene. And why can I watch the next scene? I love the next scene too. And I kept the whole movie. I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to watch the whole thing. I just want to watch a little bit more. And both of us just sat there the whole time thinking, we're not going to finish this. And we watched the entire movie while I was sick, while I'm like, but it's such a good movie that just hooks you with every single scene and sets up the next scene where you want to see the next one and the next one. And I just accidentally watched this 2.5-hour movie and loved every second of it. This is just, to me, when I go to a escapist blockbuster, I want to see a movie that delivers this experience. Joseph Krasinski has now established himself as the guy that is delivering blockbusters that make you say, they don't make them like that anymore. Well, he does. He's the guy that with Tom Cruise, with Brad Pitt, is delivering old school great blockbusters. So it comes in at number one. So this is it, my final outro of 2025. Thank you so much for watching my videos and talking movies with me in 2025. And keep talking movies and TV too much in 2026.